He is a New York Times bestselling author, publishing more than 30 books and selling over 10 million copies. He's an author, business consultant, leadership coach, and psychologist. You may know him through his writings such as the Boundaries series, Leadership Beyond Reason, The Entitlement Cure, or his most recent publication coming out in 2019, People Fuel. Dr. Townsend is also a family man. He and his wife Barbie have 2 adult children, Ricky and Benny. Barbie and John live in Newport Beach, California, only 10 minutes away from our Irvine campus. An interesting fact is that one of the Townsend family passions is music and the arts, and that Dr. Townsend performs in a band with his sons at Southern California lounges and venues. Dr. Townsend is a true Renaissance man, most recently adding a personality assessment to the Townsend platform titled TPRAT, which stands for Townsend Personal and Relational Assessment Tool, which you will hear more about this evening. He also runs townsendnow.com, a digital platform with excerpts of his work where you can access teachings, videos, and other digital coaching experiences interactively all online. For more than 20 years, he has been engaging with leaders, organizations, and individuals around the globe, offering them executive coaching, corporate consulting, and giving conference presentations. He is a co-host of the nationally syndicated talk show New Life Live, which is heard in 180 markets with 3 million listeners. Ladies and gentlemen, we are pleased to welcome the founder of the Townsend Institute, Dr. John Townsend.
Well, thanks, Aubrey, and thanks, video, and really glad to be here. You know, we know you guys spend a lot of time and effort to spend time all around the world because you guys do come around the world to show your interest, and we want to make sure it's worth your time and it's a good quality experience, and especially that you'll just go away with some clarity. We just want to show you what we think we offer to a potential student, whether you're 22 or 72, and what it can do for you. So I want to talk a little bit about what I consider our distinctives, what we do differently, and what we do well. But before I go into what we do, I want to talk about you for a second. I want you, kind of put that in your pen or your laptop or whatever you're doing right now, and I want you to reflect on something. I want you to think about a thing called your passion. Passion, it's a word we hear a lot, right? It has to do with feelings and being engaged and losing time and having, total involvement in something. And you signed into us online tonight because you had a passion, and you're exploring that passion. And generally, it's a passion for something to do in terms of career or service or job. It might be a passion to lead organizations. To have your own organization, to do your own startup, or to work in a corporate environment, or to work in a family-owned business, or to work in a ministry or a church. That's a passion. Or it might be a passion to help people who are broken, who have depression or anxiety or substance problems or relationships that are falling apart or kind of despairing of life. And you want to find a Christian way to bring hope and healing to those people. That's a passion. Or you might have a passion about being able to help people grow, to coach them into going from good to great, to help leaders and people who want to perform well to do great, and also to go into organizations and consult with them and help the organization to find their mission and their vision and their core values and their strategies. Well, whatever it is, I want you to really respect it, because passion's what drives all the hard things we do that make life great. When we do the longitudinal research of people who don't have any regrets and they're in their 80s and their 90s, they look back, the ones that don't have regrets followed their passion and they did some things about it. So I really want you to pay attention to yours, and we hope that it'll fit with what we do. So, first off, I think one of the things we do, there are 5 or 6 distinctives that really kind of, I think, set us apart for a potential student like yourself. Is the time that they spend with me. Now, a lot of people would say, why do you want to spend time with John? We know he has a bad personality, but I really weren't working on that a lot. I didn't want this to be an online program that's sort of like, the founder started, then he, moves off and you never see him again, he's off doing other things. I really wanted to get this something that was highly relational and highly connected. So we have been very intentional the executive director, Scott Macon, whom you hear from, he and I designed this together. We make sure that regularly, several times a year, I do a virtual classroom with all the students. We'll be doing it next week, where it's like this huge monitor, big monitor with everybody's face on it, like, Brady Bunch back in the old days. And we talk about whatever you want to talk about, and I'm on there for hours. So I'll talk to, Bill in New Zealand, and Bill says, oh, help me understand depression. I'll talk to Bill about depression. And then we'll switch to Sally in Omaha, and she wants to know about corporate culture, and we'll talk about culture. And so you get a very, very real-time experience with us. We also have a 4-day kickoff that everybody's got to do. Now, online, I know, but this is the one thing that's not online. We want you here in the beautiful campus of Concordia Irvine, where you're with us for 4 days in our kickoff, where we bond you with your cohorts. Your cohorts are your groups, and with us. And we have people that are helping you learn about your EQ in small groups and help you to have breakthrough experiences and grow. And also, I'm teaching and teaching and teaching. I want to meet everybody. And so I'm there for the whole time there. So that's another kind of a touch point. And also, you'll see that all of my books and all of my videos and everything I've ever done has been highly integrated in the curriculum. If you like my books, if you've read some of my books, they're a big part of the curriculum. I've made, I don't know, over a couple of hundred videos now for the entire course, for the entire program, whether you're in coaching or counseling or whether you're in org leadership. So I can give you my perspective and my spin on anything from finances to relationship to strategy. So I'm there, and it's relational, and we were intentional about this. Another part is that we want you to be relational with each other too. So it's not just like you go there and the typical stereotype of the online programs, you're sitting there in your bunny slippers at the kitchen table with some coffee and you got a laptop. I mean, it's just not like that. You've got people that you're accountable to say, how are you doing? Are you struggling? How's things going? How's the homework? And you're bonding and connecting with people all over the world. We believe in groups. We believe in the power of groups because groups are family. And so you're connected. Not only that, your professors, we love our faculty. We love our administration. We love our faculty. And the faculty are so relational. They want to know you. They want to know how they can help you. They're not just a talking head with a bunch of information. Very, very relational people. So we're trying to make it as much as you can be in a digital world. We want to be as close to the real thing. And actually, we think we are the real thing. Then there's skill building and marketplace. We didn't design the program so that you'll come out with a bunch of ideas and theories. We know there's a marketplace out there that's hiring people. We know there's competition. You're going to go out with the latest research-based skills to hit the marketplace, to get hired, to start your own deal or whatever. We have it skill-based, skill-based, skill-based. Very, very practical. Our faculty are also practitioners. We're going to record role plays where you're talking to a client who may be having anxiety, or you're going to be talking to a customer who's really upset about you didn't make the right hamburgers for them or whatever. But we do a lot of in vivo stuff, which means in life, as a role play to make it very, very skill-based for you. And let me give you a story about that. I had a recent graduate who came up to me and I said, how are you doing? Good luck, congratulations. And she said, let me tell you my story. I said, okay, tell me your story. She said, well, I'm in your organizational leadership program. And she said, I'm in HR, in human resources in a company I work with. And she said, I was taking the courses, and all the people skills you were giving me about listening and attuning and solving problems, she said, they were giving me all the really hard to love people in the company, the people that were sort of like, divisive and kind of like, prickly and prima donnas and not good team players. She said, and I was working with them, they were doing good. She said, my boss came up to me and said, where do you learn all this stuff? We're giving you all knuckleheads and you're fixing them. She said, I'm going to this thing called Townsend Institute. He said, I'll pay your tuition. Stop. Pause. There's value when a boss says, these skills you're learning are worth the tuition. So that's the kind of responses we're getting, is that we're very, very practical. And then we have our fellows program. Now, fellows can be a man fellow or a woman fellow, but a fellow is just somebody who's achieved something at very high levels that you want to learn from. I have picked people that just are friends of mine from way back that I love, and these are people that are New York Times bestsellers. They built billion-dollar businesses. They built great Christian organizations. They are sort of like the best of the best, and you get to talk to them and get their secret sauce. And we have them on the virtual classroom where we're talking back and forth, and they'll answer your questions. And these are people who have accomplished things like The way I look at it is that they're who we all want to be when we grow up. They've just done so much cool stuff. Let me give you some examples. Ken Blanchard, the one-minute manager, probably the top management expert in the world. Henry Cloud, you might know him from the books we've written together. Jim Daly, who was the CEO of Focus on the Family. Then there's John and Julia Gottman, who are the #1 marital researchers in the world. They're in our fellows program. Also Sue Johnson, and Sue Johnson has the attachment theory research, which is everybody is falling to attachment theory. Over and over and over again. You can go to our website. We've probably got 50 people who are doing great, great things. You'll be in touch with them. You'll have access to them. You can ask them questions that nobody else is asking. And then I want to tell you what this is all founded on, because this wasn't just a bunch of ideas. Scott Macon and I are very, very systematic about this. You've got to have a theory of physics if you're going to learn physics. You've got to have a theory of math if you're going to learn math. And if you're going to go to surgery, you've got to have a theory of surgery. We have a theory of these and here's what it's based on. It's based on the Bible, of course. It's based on neuroscience. And let me tell you why I love neuroscience. Because every robust study that's done, it's mainly what I study now is neuroscience, how the brain functions. Every great, robust study coming from neuroscience affirms that the Bible is correct, that God had it right thousands and thousands of years ago. What neuroscience says about attachment and love and relationship and success and obstacles and winning your potential, it's all been in the Bible. So they're meshed together. You get really good science and you get really good theology. And then also my own experience, I've been doing a lot of stuff for a lot of years, and all of my stories, all of my principles, all the things I've learned, they're integrated in the program. Then, on a real practical level, we're very flexible. You know, our professors, and you'll talk to some of the admin rock stars here, they want to make it flexible for you because you've got lives, you've got business, some of you are married, some of you got kids, you got mortgages, you know, you have a life. We want you to have a life where you're with life with us. So we want to be flexible, and also we're just affordable. We measured this out with all the other really good quality online programs around the country, and we're in the sort of the mid to low mid ranges, and we want to stay that way. So that's what we do. Now, we're going to tell you a lot more about the program, but we just wanted you to attach that to your passion to say, could my passion, the one that I think that God gave me, find some expression here? We're doing it with hundreds and hundreds of students, and we'd like to do it with you. So I hope that was helpful.
All right, I'm Aubrey Redinger. I am the program coordinator and academic advisor for the Townsend Institute. And I'm going to kind of walk you guys through this evening tonight. So we're really excited to have you here with us. This is going to be an opportunity for you to interact with our staff and hopefully get some of your questions answered directly from the staff. On the chat, you'll see our admissions team. You'll see Taylor Cerna, Patty Hunt, and Tara Prater. You'll be working with them through the process of becoming a student in our program. Once you become a student in the program, then you'll be working with me as your academic advisor. If you registered for this session, you received a series of short video clips last week that provided some information about the Institute. If you did not get a chance to review them, the link will be up in the chat, so you can access them later. In that folder, you'll also find information about the Institute and the dates for our spring start. Our purpose for tonight is to make sure you have all the information you need to get started in the Townsend Institute and come be a student with us. So please post your questions in the chat. You can start now, and we'll make sure to address them. Before we get to the chat questions, though, we do have a very important member of our staff here with us tonight. He's tuning in all the way from Wabash, Indiana. It's our Executive Director, Scott Macon.
Well, hi there. It is good to be a part of this, and we are excited to get to know you as well as answer any questions that you have. And so I wish I could be out there with you, John, but I guess this will be the closest I can get, buddy.
Well, glad you're here, Scott. You've got so much wealth of information having started it all together with me, so thanks for being here, partner.
Yep.
All right, so now is the time where we get started with the questions. So please go ahead and send in your questions on the chat, and we will get them answered by Scott and Dr. Townsend. So the first question we're going to start with is about the kickoff conference. So John and Scott, could you talk to us a little bit about what it's like to be at the kickoff conference?
Scott, you want me to just kind of give the 30,000 and you can tell people what's really true?
That's usually the way you and I work, so right. I think that would be great.
Kickoff conference. Think about the best rock concert you ever went to, plus Disneyland, plus the best meal you ever had for 4 days, and think about Hillsong playing. No, it's not really like that. Anyway, we wanted to get away from the whole online bunny slipper thing, and so what we have is the way that we're built, the way that the neuropsych says we're built, and the way that God built us, is we've got to be face-to-face. We're only asking for 4 days out of a year, 2 years, 3 years, where you come in, and you all come into this beautiful campus. This is just one of the most beautiful campuses in the world as far as I'm concerned. And there's going to be a bunch of you here, and we're going to take you through kind of different experiences. One's going to be you'll get to meet your faculty and you get to meet your cohorts. Remember, you're going to go through the program with a small group. So you're going to get to know people that are going to get to know you. They're going to be there in the flesh. Also, I'm going to be teaching a lot of content from anything about success to challenges to love to how does this fit with emotional life and careers and all this stuff. And I'm going to be answering your questions. And also, we'll also have some of those fellows I talked to you about, either they're live, or some of them are going to be flying in, or some of them are going to be coming in via Skype. So you got a lot of content coming at you every day in terms of like the best content we've got to get you started and launched to go into your totally online program. But also, we put you into process groups. Now, what does process group mean? What it means is a confidential place, maybe 8 of you, where you've got a trained facilitator who is highly, highly skilled in working with students and leaders and help you kind of talk about your own personal blocks and your own breakthroughs and the things you need to work on in terms of your emotional intelligence, how you come across, maybe even the hurts you've had or the blind spots you have, and it's a very, very breakthrough, transformational, vulnerable experience. It is, our internal research says the students come away from that 2 years later saying, that started all my serious growth for me. You got to remember something. We don't want to put out a bunch of really, really smart, skilled, screwed up people. I mean, the world doesn't need that. You're smart already. That's why you're here. We want to give you skills. We want to make you as healthy and as attached and as clear about who you are and sort of like as actualized as possible. We want you to be smart and skilled and really healthy, and we're going to do that. So those are the 4 days, and we kind of put it all together, and it's a lot of fun. Scott?
Well, you covered a lot of ground, my friend. So, and I love...
Did you like the Disneyland part, Scott? Did that kind of move you?
The Disneyland, I loved the best meal. I thought that was really good because, we just kind of keep sending for good takeout. But let me I'll add one thing, and then I got a question for you. The kickoff conference, you will be in a class that starts a week early that you'll be reading a lot of John's material and getting a deeper understanding of his model so that when you start the kickoff conference, it kind of gives you a good foundation, and then you can interact with John as well as kind of flesh that out in the process groups. The cool thing is then after the kickoff conference, I think there's like one more assignment you do, then you're done with your first 3-hour course. And so it's going to be a really accelerated course. So that's kind of really cool for students. So John, here's my question. As you and I kind of go through the kickoff conference, I have a favorite part. What's your favorite part of the kickoff conference that you enjoy?
My favorite part actually is the one-on-one sidebars with students as you're walking to get some coffee or to get a snack, and somebody comes up and they say, "Hey, thanks for coming. Where are you from?" "Well, I'm from Finland." And "Oh, tell me about that and why are you here?" So I'm kind of like those little few-minute little how do I get to know you touch points. I really love those, and I try to do as many as I can.
Yeah. And I see you doing that all the time. My favorite part, as you can imagine, is at the end of each day, we gather as a family, and you kind of just briefly share some of the ways you've grown. And it's always just very moving for me because
now, you
that
don't mean
growth
John
is
shares how John has grown. You mean meaning the students share how they have grown.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't want...
Yes, how the students have grown, not how you've grown.
You guys are talking about how you grew. Talk about that, Scott. That's a really important time.
Yeah, so you come in after a pretty long day, and we let you kind of settle down and think about how you've grown.
Yeah.
And you, as a student in those process groups, there are some phenomenal ways that you grow because it's so safe. And we really hit some of those areas that will free you up in a lot of ways. That's just a blast for me to see.
You know, I'm teeing off of that,
Yeah.
Scott. Guys, you'll say, some people will say things like this, of the many semesters we've done it, somebody will say, I learned that inside I'm an okay person. I wasn't sure. I learned that I don't have to be a perfectionist to be loved. I learned that my mistakes and my flaws are okay. I learned I've got a lot of potential. I learned that I've got lots of things to offer that people really appreciate. I learned that it's okay to struggle in some areas. I mean, really profoundly important stuff. Scott's
Yep,
right.
absolutely.
That we would love to hear both Scott and Dr. Townsend's perspectives on. We have a lot of students ask about the differences between counseling, org leadership, and executive coaching. There are some similarities between the fields, but if we had a student who is trying to decide between all three fields, maybe they have an interest in all three, how would you guys define each field?
Scott, why don't you lead off? I said a little bit about it in my intro. Why don't you start that one off?
What I've noticed, because I've been a therapist for about 25, 26 years, and then I've also do a lot of executive coaching. With the counseling, you have this passion of really going deep with a person and trying to help them build in this new strength and character structure. With executive coaching, it is more of working with that particular leader and helping them find better strategies in their leadership or with their team. And then in organizational leadership, your passion is how I can lead wherever I might be, whether it's a church or a business or a department. And so those are some of the passions that I see that are different with those three areas.
Yeah, I totally agree with what Scott says, guys. I would say it this way. If you love healing the broken, this is counseling, because counseling is about taking people that are broken in certain areas, and you love to see healing, so they are restored and they're happy and they're functional. If you love seeing people reach their potential, and especially in the world of achievement in terms of their careers and that sort of thing, that's coaching. Coaching's about reaching potential, especially in performance. And if you love taking people from place A to place B in a team or in a division or in a company or a church, that's leadership. Very simple, and there are three, as Aubrey said, they are related but very distinct passions.
We have another question from the audience. Dr. Townsend, how do you incorporate the latest neuroscience research with faith?
I've been doing research and reading research for many decades, so I incorporate the latest neuroscience with faith like I incorporate the earliest science of any kind with faith. You know, a lot of people say, well, I mean, you know, the science and the Bible, they don't get along. Yes, they really do get along. God is the scientist who created all science. And so the way I look at it is that all truth is God's truth. And so anything that we find out, the very simple thing is we take it through the filter of the Bible. So a study comes out, and we're excited about it, and we're all, the faculty and me and Scott are studying, and we go, boy, this has got, we learned this a few years ago about they studied with monkeys about empathy and how they have what are called mirror neurons. And these monkeys, that is a study done in Italy, we found a lot of things about empathy. Okay, you learn how they did it and why we know now a lot more about empathy than we did by watching monkeys get hooked up to electrodes. Well, then you look at your Bible. What does Jesus say? Law number 1, love God with all your heart. Law number 2, love others as you would like to be loved. That's empathy. So we just make sure that every study fits with, doesn't get thrown out with, is vetted with, affirms the Bible, and the good ones do. It's just the way, the nature of truth. And we share the studies with you and show you how faith is always supported through those. It is a wonderful process. And if you're kind of a conceptual person, obviously I'm a conceptual person, it will excite you so much. We're in a great age of learning how our faith and science are friends, not enemies.
All right. I have a question for, sorry, one second. So Nick wants to know how much focus there is on the art of coaching and what coaching programs do we use as a foundation. This question is going to go to Scott.
We will start out with John's model of executive coaching. And John can speak to that a little bit. But then we also blend in concepts and principles from Ken Blanchard, from Pat Lencioni, Peter Block, and Flawless Coaching. So we will blend those in because those are some of the kind of more the latest that is out there. So we start with John, that is integrated throughout the whole program, and then we add in some of these other key theorists. John, do you want to summarize a little bit?
Sure. Yeah, Nick, we believe in art and science. We believe that coaching, it can't just be a bunch of principles that you're sort of like, you know, what's that show, Big Bang Theory, like Sheldon? You know, Sheldon has no feelings. You're not going to get excited about coaching somebody or being coached by somebody who's like Sheldon, right? The science part will give you, but will also give you the fact that you've got to be intuitive. You've got to understand that there's wiggle room here, there's creativity here. A lot of this is based on my latest book, Leading from Your Gut. You might be interested in that, Nick, where I talk about how intuition and creativity and passion are a very big part of leadership. That is the art part. Now, to your second aspect of your question, the programs we use as a foundation, well, we have a theory that I've designed. That's our foundation, but as Scott added, we have others that are very well-known, people like Pat Lencioni, who's a friend, and other people like that who do really good work. But I would say, to summarize our program, is if you looked on our website, we always talk about two things, competence and character. Competence means doing things well, being the highest level you could possibly be, going to all the conferences, learning all the skills, all the principles, but also character, being a person of integrity who has great relationships. So we take that and we take a coach and we have them learn the fact that you've got to, if you're a coach, you take somebody from point A, they're just coming to see you and they want to maybe be the next, Zuckerberg, right? But here they are and they've got a website, that's all they've got, but they want to be here in 10 years. You're the one that takes them through and helps them know number one, what's their vision, number two, what are their resources, number three, what is their strategy, number three, what are their obstacles, who's going to execute it, and how do you monitor it. Those are always the steps of any executive coaching program, and you'll find all that in our model.
Dr. Townsend, can you
Yes,
talk
Arbor.
to us about how coaching is different than mentoring? What are the differences between the two?
Yeah, I do a lot of both and teach a lot of both. Here's the difference. Mentoring is known as kind of life on life or walking alongside. Suppose somebody did really well in business, and I've got a lot of friends that mentor and I mentor, and then they're kind of out of the business and they just love to give back. They feel grateful for what God gave them and they feel grateful for their success. So they find a young person who wants to grow and they just kind of like talk to them about their own life story and they support them and encourage them. So it's a very organic and a very natural process. Coaching is different because coaching has more structure than mentoring. Coaching really is a science where there are, like I just gave you those 6 aspects of coaching and we have like subsets underneath those. So one is more of a structured science. That's why you have so many credentialings in coaching because it's something that you get, high levels of competence in. So if you want something that's sort of like I don't want to go to school for this, I just want to be a wise person to help people, that's kind of more mentoring. But if you want to learn the science to get somebody through a structure to the highest level, that's coaching.
Scott, we have a question for you from Brittany Lyons, who's from Virginia. She's saying she understands that here we go. I got words. Hold on. She understands that our program is currently in progress for KCREP accreditation. Could you talk to us a little bit more about where we are in that process?
Can we also just tell people what that means? Because a lot of our org people and coaching people are going, what in the world's a KCREP? It's important.
Yes. Okay. So KCREP is going to be our counseling-specific accreditation that we're pursuing for our Masters of Counseling program. And Scott can talk to us a little bit more about where we are in that process and when we expect to be accredited by.
Yes. Couple things. As a university, we're an accredited university already, so you don't have to panic that, we are in that process. KCREP is just for the counseling program. So we have done our self-study. We submitted it in the fall, and then they've responded with some requests for additional information. We just sent that in, which is called the addendum. And so we will hear in the next month when they will do a site visit, and we expect that to be in May. And so after the site visit, then we'll hear something within a couple months. The good thing about KCREP is once we get that, those students, you have 18 months that it grandfathers in. So the students who are beginning to join us, you'll be in great shape because we'll actually have it before you graduate. So that's where we're at in the KCREP process.
And KCREP just makes it much easier for you to get licensed in all 50 states. We like it, and we're putting lots of time and resources in it because we want you to be able to get a license to be able to function autonomously wherever you are.
Yep.
Scott, can you talk to us a little bit more about why we chose the Licensed Professional Clinical Counselor license and what that does for our students?
Yes. You have the option in counseling of being a licensed clinical social worker or a licensed marriage and family or a licensed mental health counselor. And one of the advantages of a licensed mental health counselor is that it is broader. You're able to do more things, whereas with the marriage and family, it's mainly focused in marriage, working with families and working with marriages. So we chose the LMHC, or sometimes referred to as a licensed professional counseling, just so that our students will be able to be in different venues or clinics and able to kind of work with more people.
Great, thanks, Scott. Dr. Townsend, we have a question for you. Could you talk to us a little bit about being in an online counseling program? What's the difference between that and being face-to-face, and how have we seen it work for people in the program?
We are not missing a beat. If you sign on with us and you're accepted with us to be on our team, you will not miss a beat. You know, there was a day, I've been studying all this stuff for years, when I was like really down on the digital world and all this. And I have found out that if I had a B-level residential, face-to-face program, and one like ours, which we consider A-level, I'll take that in a heartbeat because it's the quality of the content, it's the quality of the people, and it's also the convenience. I mean, it's not even close anymore. So everybody that's gone through it has always said, you know, I went in, and I had to have something, and what I did gave me the skills and tools, and I'm competing at a very high level in the marketplace with anybody else who's gone residential. Now, me personally, I went residential because it wasn't that back then, because I went to school, back in the 1700s. But right now, this is the way to go. You won't miss a beat.
Hey, John, let me just add a little bit to that. Just some of the latest research that online programs, even in counseling, can really rival some of the face-to-face programs. One of the concerns, will I have as much contact with professors? Well, actually, in one sense, you'll have more because of the threads and the discussion boards. You get more feedback from them. In our program, they're interacting with you, and even when you do role plays, they're going to give you feedback along those lines. The other thing that in the online is that not everyone learns at the same speed. And so in the face-to-face, if the professor goes too fast, then those that will feel like a fire hose, and then if he slows it down, then some students will get bored. You go at your own pace online. And then you are more in control of your learning. If you're an audio-visual learner, we have a lot of those opportunities. If you learn more through reading, you can focus on that. And so what we're finding is because we're highly relational and some of what online now has offered and the way the learner has changed, that really it rivals face-to-face at this point. And in some ways, it actually is better than face-to-face. So that's why we're really excited, because we have an excellent department that works with us to put this online in a very, very innovative and creative way.
Scott, we have a question for you about our executive coaching certificate. So there's a lot of different programs out there that can get ICF certification. How do we compare to those programs?
We are in the process of obtaining ICF certification. So there are just a few steps that we have to go through. And in our master's program, we have 2 internships that will give the students 25 hours of direct contact in each of those 2 internships that will go towards the certification for ICF. So that's kind of where we are in that process. Aubrey?
Thank you. Dr. Townsend, we are really excited about the TPRAT and everything that's coming out with it and the way it's helping our students. And I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit more about it with our listeners.
Sure will, Aubrey. Strange word, TPRAT. Let me explain what it means. Have you ever taken an online assessment? Have you taken Enneagram? Have you taken Myers-Briggs? Have you taken Strength Finders? Have you gone on Facebook to find out whether you're a porpoise or an octopus and what color your tree is? I mean, you know, everybody loves online assessments because we're all very curious about who we are and what our style is. Well, we now have one for you, and it's called the Townsend Personal and Relational Assessment Tool. Townsend Personal and Relational Assessment Tool, TPRAT. And what it does, it's an online assessment, takes 10 minutes. We've got it because everybody's busy, right? And in those 10 minutes, you're going to come out after you take it, you'll get an instant score on 4 critical areas. If you read it, whether you've read any of my books or not, you've heard these words. Number 1, you'll get a 1 to 10 score on bonding, relationships. How well are you bonded with others? How well do you bond with others? Can you be vulnerable? 1 to 10. 10's good and 1 means you got work to do, right? Secondly is boundaries. Now, if you know anything about my work, you know boundaries, saying no, being able to confront, define yourself, be clear, have your own voice. 1 to 10 in boundaries. The third one is reality, because life has hard realities like loss and failure and hurt and grief. And can you handle failure? Because you have to handle the negative realities of life somewhere without shame or guilt. Can you handle them the right way? And the fourth one is capacity. Do you come at life like an adult, like a grown-up with all kinds of power, or do you come at life sort of like a tentative kid? And also, are you clear on your mission and your purpose and why God made you? We measure your capacity. But it's not just that. You get these 4 numbers in those 4 areas, but you also get a spit out of several pages of individualized, customized skills to help you get to the next level. Like a chapter in one of my books you might want to read that'll help you in this, or a conversation to have with somebody, a friend to kind of who's been there and done that, or a stretch growth thing where you do something that's scary and you kind of like try something new. And also just journaling. We do a lot of journaling to let you know where you are. So we're getting rave reviews about it. It's only been out a few weeks. But here's the cool part of here, is that we want to make it available to you. So if you complete an application with us, today's Tuesday, by the end of the week, if you go to the website, we'll tell you the website, instead of $25, you're going to get it for free. Because we want you to know yourself, to know who you are, to know what your strengths are, where your challenges are. So between now and Friday, you complete an application with our staff here, you'll get it for free, and we'll give you a code for it. So we're jazzed about it.
Thank you. One more question for Dr. Townsend. We'd actually like to hear a little bit about how you integrate faith into this program.
It's just all over the place. I'd say we do it in 2 ways. Number 1 is we built it philosophically on the program. In other words, if you've read any of my books, for example, How People Grow, which is a systematic theological book which shows that all emotional and relational and personal decisions and problems are basically have scriptural answers. Rick Warren said it's one of the best books on spiritual growth he's ever read. So we base it on concepts like that. But not only that, we also give you the actual Bible verses themselves. You can get a lot of scripture verses to say this applies here. For example, you might want to help a client who doesn't have any boundaries, and they're codependent and they're enabling and they're burning out, and they got drug addicts in their life, and they got people taking their life and their time, and they're sucking the life out of them. And we'll have a lesson that says, if you got a client like that, take them through Proverbs chapter 4, verse 23, which says, guard your heart, for from it flow the wellsprings of life. Or you might find somebody who's very disconnected and can't open up and can't relate, and we'll come back and we'll say, woe to you when you fall and nobody lifts you up. Everybody needs someone to lift them up, Ecclesiastes 4. So you get a philosophy of Bible and theology, basically, but you also get lots of verses so you can hang on to them. And by the way, you don't have to be a Christian to be here. We're Christian because that's what we're about. But we have so many people that come in who have a different faith or no faith or kind of in between faith. We love you, we want you, and we want to help you to be the best coach or therapist or leader you can be. So everybody's welcome on the Faith platform.
All right, we can talk to you all about the staff side of things and how much we love the program and would love to see you here. But we would also love for you to hear from our students. So we have a video that we'd like to show you, and then we're going to bring a student out to talk to you a bit.
This program does not only get into your mind, but it gets into your heart. It makes you really sit down and not only say, okay, it's about the papers, it's about the textbooks, it's about your heart.
We got to look into ourselves and we get to really dissect ourselves. And I'm going into counseling, so we're going to be looking at other people, helping them see themselves. And so getting to do it with ourselves first is really impactful.
This program, it truly makes you want to encompass the concept of I want to keep learning, I don't want to stop, because if I stop, I'm going to deny these people of my fullest potential. And how dare I do that when I want to be a helper for this world?
One thing I've been learning from Townsend, from the fellows, and from my cohorts is just the power of learning and continuing to learn. So just getting snippets from the fellows, I see how much, I'm like, I gotta buy that book, I gotta read that book, I gotta learn about that. And I see the importance of having a really broad understanding of lots of areas. You don't need to just nitpick and only know one thing. You need to really try to get as much information as you can so you can be very well trained and very well rounded.
You will never stop learning. There's never a roof, there's never a ceiling for that. And this place does that.
I feel very confident that as I go forward in this program, I have so much support. I have exactly what I need to be successful.
So we have a student here with us tonight that we'd love for you to hear from. Deborah grew up in North Carolina, about 30 miles from Dr. Townsend. She later moved to California where she met her husband. She and her husband just celebrated their 30th anniversary and have 2 children and a son-in-law. She started the program with us, the Masters in Counseling program, in August of 2017, and she just began her practicum this past August. She plans to graduate next August, so she took the 2-year path for counseling, if you guys would like to ask her any questions about that.
Okay, this is a treat. Now, you guys wonder if you ought to do it. We have the lab rat here. This is you in the future. And so, Deborah, it's Deborah Norris Oberta.
Correct.
Okay, welcome.
Thank you.
And like Aubrey said, you're also a Tar Heel, and so you know where the right barbecue
Except
is.
for I'm a Wolfpack. So.
I am too.
Oh, okay.
NC State.
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
not UNC.
Okay, they don't know what we're talking about.
All right.
That's okay.
Anyway, so we really wanted to bring Deborah on because people often go, okay, well, you guys can say whatever, but let's talk about somebody who's really experiencing this. So we're going to go through her narrative a little bit. Then are you okay answering a few questions too?
Sure.
All right. So first off, Deborah, how did you find your way to the Institute in the first place?
I had been thinking about doing this for a long time, and I just couldn't seem to get myself to go forward. And
Now this is counseling.
right, counseling. Yeah, I'm in the counseling. And the spring of 2017, there was a few things that came together all at one time. One of them being a friend who had gone back to school late in life.
Because you're like 29 now?
Yeah. And she passed away, and
Oh,
I
I'm
was.
sorry.
That's okay. And I was sitting at her memorial service, and I just heard this small, still little voice say, "What are you waiting for?"
Kind of got a, it was a kind of a, her passing was a catalytic event for your growth. So then how'd you hear about us?
Well, I did just the most scientific thing ever,
What's that?
a Google search.
She did a Google search.
So I did my Google search, and I'm scrolling through, the list of classes or schools or whatever, and I saw Townsend Institute, and I'm not making it up. I literally thought, that can't be John Townsend,
Why?
because I listened to you guys for decades.
Oh, on the radio?
Yeah,
Oh.
and I read their books. I listened to you when you guys called yourself the boys.
Who are the boys?
Yeah.
Now we're the adolescents.
So,
So
so anyway, I
you
found
followed
it, and
up
I clicked on it, and I just said, okay, I'm done. That's
Okay.
it.
So remember the passion talk? Deborah followed the passion talk, and then she put some action on it. That's why I love her story. Okay, so you went to the kickoff conference, and we had all that. And what was that like for you?
Oh my gosh.
It was an oh my God.
You cannot not do.
You cannot not do it.
Cannot miss it. You just can't. The kickoff conference, it gives you, number one, it gives you an opportunity to meet your cohort in the flesh. So you go from there, and it doesn't matter if you're organizational leadership or counseling, you're going to meet these people in the flesh, and then when you leave and you start doing the online classes, you have a bond. You know things about each other, and so when you see each other online, it's not like you're talking to a stranger on the screen. You know each other.
It's a friend and somebody that you trust and trust you. And how does that make the experience of learning better? Because there's a lot of research about if you don't know a person, you can't learn. What was it like for you learning all that content that we have, but with people you cared about and trusted? How did that help, having those great relationships? Yeah.
Much, much richer. Yeah.
You just get more
I would say you just can't, you really can't do the program without that kind of support. And the relationships that you build at the kickoff specifically, they just carry you through.
Yeah.
So the other thing about the kickoff that was awesome was that, and this is more toward the counseling side, maybe, I don't know, but that we got to experience stellar counseling, but we also got to witness. Like,
oh, you were in it and you were observing it at the same time.
Yeah, well, we didn't even know it at the time.
No.
Like over the year, we've looked back and said, wow, I remember that, and it just was like, wow, that was
What
amazing.
better training can you have than that?
Yeah.
But actually, our coaching students as well as our organizational leadership students say the same thing. They'll say, hey, I want to build, the next Apple. What am I doing in the group? And they'll go, now I have my people skills because I saw it happen to me.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
All right, so you've done a lot, and you're a veteran student here. You're getting out next year. What's your favorite part of the program, Deborah? If you had to say, what's your favorite flavor? Because we do so many things, and you're so involved with us.
I don't want to sound like a broken record, but it's the relationship part. I really did. I was listening to you talk about the bunny slippers, and I thought that I was going to go.
Everybody thinks
I
that.
thought I was going to do an online program, and I was just going to be holed up in a room for 2 years by myself and my computer and my books.
Yeah.
But I had no idea that you could do relationships that deep online.
See, I can't
just didn't
explain it
know.
like she does, but you probably thought that because I did and so did she.
Yeah, I really did.
Oh, you'll just be by yourself and you'll do some classes and you'll read a thing and write a paper. No, it's really connection. If you believe in relationship and if you believe in the power of great relationships and you want to learn the content, I don't think there's a better way to do it.
No.
So, great.
Hey, John.
Yo.
Hey, I have a question for Deborah.
Yes.
Deborah, can you think back to when you first started the program and who you were, and now how you have seen growth inside of you in ways that you're different now?
Probably not without crying.
Okay.
I honestly, I don't know how to describe it. I literally just texted this to one of the girls in my cohort 2 nights ago, that to look back at where we were August 2017 and where we are now and how just amazing the growth is in all of us. It's just you can't really explain it, and you can't expect it. You can't expect it, but it's amazing.
C.S. Lewis talks about being surprised by joy. I think sometimes we get surprised that we can connect at that deeper level with people. Thank you. That was
And
great,
grow.
Deborah.
Yeah.
Hey, Deborah,
Yeah.
thank you. John, that is the other biggest part of our program is that we have, we work on who they are as a counselor or leader or coach, and that drives those skills. And so, Deborah, you really put it in words that we couldn't explain, that it's not, like John said, just getting a bunch of ideas. It is that deep growth that will make you 50 times more effective. So thank you.
And,
For
you know,
sure.
you might be saying right now, well, I've got friends. Well, everybody, Deborah has got a lot of, she's always had a lot of friends, right? It's not that. It's the people that you're kind of comrades with and, you know, and all this studying and stuff and going through your life together. It's just another set of friends that go very deep. So.
Well, these are the people who, you can have all kinds of wonderful support, and I do. My husband's right here, but these people in your cohort know exactly what you're experiencing, and so nobody else in your life can relate to you the way that they can and support you in the character and competence growth plan thing. It's like
They get
nobody
it.
else, yeah.
Deborah, what do you want to tell people who are on the fence about, I don't know if we ought to start with TI or not.
It was the right place for me, and I absolutely believe that I'm getting the very best possible education I can, tied to all the latest science and all of that influence, and at the same time, my teachers and my colleagues and my leaders are deeply Christian people, so I can trust that everything aligns with my faith.
Cool. And when you get out of here, do you want to go private practice or church work or work in a company or what's the dream?
I'm undecided. I'm literally, from day one with this, it's been whatever God puts in the front of me next, and that's kind of what I've been doing. It's like one step at a time, so I don't know where He's going to take me.
So you got
I'm
another
waiting.
year. Do you think you're going to be ready? I mean,
Oh my gosh.
skill-wise, and when you see what's out there, feel like you got the tools and the skills to
Yes.
help people?
Yes. My supervisor just last week told me that she was extremely impressed with our program. The supervisor is at a practicum, and so she's not related to the program.
So she can be objective.
Yes. So
Great.
she was like, I'm very impressed.
Great.
So.
So guys, that's how it works. And Deborah has been there and understands it. So Deborah, thank you very
Sure.
much for
Happy to.
being a partner with us, and go do some great stuff.
I'll try. Thanks.
Video that we'd love to share with you guys tonight. So we'll head to that right now.
I feel the help. Oh. Whoa! That's not a bad idea.
Come on in. You're just be present. I didn't want to do this. I was afraid to do this. I don't speak in public, and you did that.
I'm so proud of you. This is wonderful.
I came for this process group and this time anticipating I would learn something about counseling and whether or not this was the path I wanted to be on. What I learned instead was about myself and life and how to be a human being. It taught me so much more than anything about counseling.
Yeah. Whoa! Yeah!
All right, that's all the time we have for tonight. Thank you for joining us. Don't forget to use the code in the chat to get your $50 application fee waived. And just a reminder, our classes start for spring on February 25th, and the face-to-face conference takes place in Irvine from March 3rd through 6th here on campus with Dr. Townsend and all of the rest of the staff you met tonight. And then we're also going to send you out the code for TPRAT so that you can do that for free within the next week.
As long as you fill out the application.
As long as you fill out the application. Don't forget to fill out the application.
Can I take a minute over?
Yes.
For a second? Let me return to something. Your passion. We started with it because that's what drives behavior. That's what drives success. Let's go back to your passion again. God put something in you, and it cannot be denied, and it must be expressed if you're going to be healthy and successful. So take all that passion, all that stuff that made you sign in with us tonight, and put it together with the content and give us a call. We'll be waiting. God bless you guys.